We've got to see more than one type of miracle with this, what appears to be extremely simple discover, plan, act, reflect cycle. Many of you who've been married for a little while have probably reached a confusing stage where wives start to say, I want to know what you're feeling, I want to know what you're thinking, what's going on over there. And sometimes, especially if they use the phrase, I'd like to know about what you're feeling, that can be a confusing statement. We have observed that if a man will do his personal work with his DPAR work, we call it DPAR for short, where after he spends time trying to fulfill some achievements, trying to follow whatever his goals and hopes were for the day, he just uses some kind of a journal where he will reflect and take some notes on his reflections. He will do some discovery work, which includes trying to learn new ways to approach things, new vision, reminding himself of his identity, reminding himself of eternal principles. So discovery is also rediscovery. Oh, I forgot that I could be like David versus Goliath. So I'm now rediscovering these things. And then as they make a new plan, whether it's the plan for the next 24 hours, a plan for hopes and dreams for the next week, the month, the year, and then they just share it. The wives are thinking it's Christmas. Like every time they do it, they're like, what is this? And the guy's all, I don't know, the guy said to write it down and share it with you, and now she's jumping up and down and she's excited. And it's one of those things, someone once told me, you're speaking someone's love language correctly if it does not make any sense to you. I don't understand it completely. I've got a little bit of a comprehension of it, but those of you who have wives and would like to improve things almost at a miraculous level quite quickly, just anytime you sit down, just think about your recent things, life, stewardships, write down some reflections, write down some discoveries or rediscoveries, write down some plans. It's a great way to start the conversation. Hey, wife, I don't know why this guy said to share this with you, but he said you might like it. And then she reads it, and I can almost guarantee she'll get this weird, funny, smiley face. And they're like, for real? You just shared that with me? Then there's the big picture ones. If you can do it with the big picture stuff, anytime you can share on paper what's in your head for the future, they sure like it. We have a lot of classes on how this is done. I'll drop a link in for the marriage repair class where we teach this process in more detail. Thank you for that question. Is Seth still here? I'd love for him to answer this question.
If you're finding this video helpful or want to help us reach others in need, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it really supports our channel. Thank you.
Men are doing well with their recovery, or they're just moving their lives forward, or like they feel like they're doing a good job. Why is it important for the men to be patient with the women while they work through their healing and recovery?
I wrote a course about 2 years ago that Maurice and I have been teaching for the last year and a half. There's a couple of things that really play into this. Number one is that there is a significant difference between recovery and sobriety. Too often we try to only get to sobriety, which is, I'm not acting out, everything should be better. But there is a very large difference between sobriety and recovery. Recovery is learning to open our heart, learning to be able to deal with the other person's emotions. Recovery involves building shame resilience so that we aren't reacting in big ways. When we are only at a sobriety level, that still leaves a lot of scary behaviors that have been there for years. Our wives are just waiting for the other shoe to drop again because they haven't seen a change to our countenance. We haven't learned to deal with those level 2 emotions quickly. And so we stay stuck in this place of being at level 2 regularly. And recovery, when we are able to interact, have empathy, and be able to have our hearts open in our communications, is what brings safety for spouses. In the betrayal trauma that has happened, one of the things that happens is that all of us have a what they call a second brain or a gut. We have those feelings that something isn't right, that something is off. And when we have been acting out, our spouses have felt that something wasn't right, something was wrong, and they've pushed that aside. One of the big things that can often happen with betrayal trauma becomes a thing of, not only can I not trust my husband, I can't even trust myself. I can't trust myself to be able to keep myself safe. And so part of the problem is that, especially as men, we have a lot of times gaslighted and said, oh no, there's nothing going on. You're crazy if you think that something's off, something's wrong. And we have built that distrust in those feelings of the gut. Part of the process is her being hypervigilant because she hasn't trusted her gut in the past. So now anything I have to is this huge thing because I haven't trusted it before. And so part of our work is to have patience, help her to go, okay, what's going on? What are you feeling? Okay, that's a valid thing. And having patience while she reconnects and begins to have trust in herself long before she's going to have trust in us. And so that is a process. I hope that answered the question, but those are all things that we go over in that course, is that this is a process of not only her needing to heal, but us having to show up regularly and correctly and not making things worse, because that healing process takes a long time. And actually, at the beginning of my journey, my wife and I were in a Sunday school class, and we had a stake president, our former stake president, who was teaching Sunday school. He made the comment in the lesson of so many guys had come to him to repent of things like pornography and stuff. And he goes, they'd bring their wives in. As soon as they confessed, the guys started getting better. And he goes, I don't know what's wrong with these women. They just seem to stay stuck. They couldn't get any better. Needless to say, my wife just about killed him in the Sunday school class. But the whole thing is that we begin to heal when we confess. The problem is so often that is when our wife is truly injured. And not only is she injured when we confess, a lot of times we continue to keep secrets for quite a while, which continues to cause injuries. And we can't expect healing to start to happen when we are continuing to cause injuries.